Hey gang, what's going on? Back to teaching things online and see how this goes, but I figured I'd give you a quick demo on very accurate measuring devices as we go forward, and hopefully you can use this to figure out which tool could measure what, or maybe some instruction on how these work when we get back to school. Anyway, excuse me. I've got a steel ruler here, a micrometer here with a ratchet on the end, which I'll show you in a second. This is also a micrometer with no ratchet on the end, and a vernier caliper, and a 1, 2, 3 block, which is something we'll talk about in a moment. Basically, all these things do is measure stuff very, very accurately, some more accurate than others, and it depends on what you're trying to do. This where'd it go here? There we go, video. This ruler here is 1/16 of an inch on one side and all the way up to 64ths of an inch on the back side. It's not super useful because the lines here, each one of these is a 64th of an inch, so they're really close together and they're really hard to read. So if you're trying to go that accurate, I wouldn't use a ruler. There's just too much human error that can happen, right? You can measure up to 6 inches though. Fits in your pocket, kind of nice, so that works out well. It's relatively rugged and it'll wipe off. You can get oil and grease and glue and stuff off of it, which is kind of cool. But otherwise, not super accurate for what we're trying to do. These guys, on the other hand, can measure up to 10 thousandths of an inch. Right. This one is a 1-inch caliper. It only measures things between 0 and 1 inch. Actually, if you wanted to measure anything bigger than an inch, you need an entirely new tool, which has just got a bigger jaw. Here, it goes out to 2 inches and then 3 inches and so on, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. If you were a machinist or a tool maker or something, you would have an entire set of these so you can measure things, but even the big ones, they only measure 1-inch increments, so it's maybe a 6-inch micrometer. It only measures between 5 and 6 inches, and that's it. So this is a 1-inch. And basically the idea is pretty simple. You have a barrel here that hopefully lines up at 0, and when you put a device inside, you clamp it down, and it'll give you a reading here. I'll show you how that works. So, take a piece of paper, let's say, and you cram it in there. You should make sure, I guess, the jaws are clean before you do this, so any piece of dust or hair or anything will screw up your measurement. Put your piece of paper in there. And turn until it's kind of tight. Right, you don't want to go too much. And then you're going to want to turn it till the ratchet clicks. If you're measuring anything kind of soft, even soft metals, this is steel, it could actually dent and compress that a little bit, so you want to use the ratchet if you can, if you have one. So this one looks like there's 0. All right, so if you count the lines, we are about 4 thousandths of an inch thick, right? So it's kind of cool. 0.004. All right. This other one over here, this actually was my father's. It's probably from like 1950 or 60. It's a little old, little rusted, but it's definitely done its time. Anyway, it works the same way. 0, 0 lines up here, and you would read the numbers as you went around the barrel. If you look between 0 and 1, there are 4 lines, so each one of those lines is 25 thousandths until you get to 100 thousandths, which is right there. Okay. Works the same way, but no ratchet, right? So this one, it's a lot easier to screw up and compress the item you're measuring, and that's always a dangerous way to do stuff, especially if it's soft plastics or paper or something like that you're trying to measure accurately, but maybe aren't paying attention enough. This last one here, this one you've probably seen around the shop. We have a bunch of these all over the place. This is a 6-inch vernier caliper, and it works the same way. You have jaws here that you should clean out every once in a while. Make sure that this goes to 0, which is right there. All right, and whenever you're done using this, don't put it glass down because it'll scratch up and you won't be able to see. So try to put them down, the glass up. Anyway, use your thumb here, and you can open this whatever size you want. Like, let's say we're going to measure our ruler from earlier. You would close that down, and you can read the dial. This is still at 0, and our dial is at 37 thousandths, so that's 0.037 is how thick that ruler is. Now, the other thing you can do with this is you get 3 tools in one. The jaws measure how wide it is, like an OD from outside diameter. These jaws can do the inside diameter. So if you have a hole that you're trying to figure out the width, those will measure the ID, and then at the other end, this little guy sticks out the exact same amount as the jaws are open, so you get a depth gauge as well. So this one's for depth, this one's for inside diameter, this one's for outside diameter. Not bad, huh? Pretty cool.